So today we have the pleasure to talk with Tobias Sammet from Avantasia about their upcoming album, Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society, out on October 21st via Nuclear Blast. So Toby, after a successful run of summer festivals, including stellar appearance in Wacken Wednesday, how did you feel about going back on stage after 2.5 years?
It was very relieving, I have to say, because, I mean, as everybody, I did not know what was going to happen. I did not know if, if I would ever get my job back. In the beginning, it was just, okay, it's a worldwide pandemic. We have no experience with this. Let's see how it goes. But then it took longer and longer, and shows got postponed, and, and everything got postponed by a year and then another year. So when we finally were back together, I was very, very grateful and very thankful, and I didn't take anything for granted anymore. And it was when we first flew to Spain to do the first show in Cartagena, and we approached the coastline of southern Spain. It was just, it felt surreal. It really felt surreal. I was on the plane and I thought, holy shit, I have my job back. And that's something it was really a moment when I realized that we should not take anything for granted, and that we should be happy about things that we have always taken for granted, but that cannot be taken for granted.
Yeah, and I saw you guys in Wacken, and I have to say that I felt that your vocal performance was really good, and it's never been bad. But I think I want to ask if you think that the downtime during the pandemic without touring had any effect on your vocal delivery line.
I'm not sure if it was probably so, but also I'm not. I changed the way I use my voice a little bit. I try to avoid doing too much damage. And also, what has always done a huge damage to my voice, the long tours that we have done with Ed Guy. When you sing a show on your own and you are the only singer in the band, and you're getting sick and you still have to go on because you have to. There is no excuse. You have to be on stage and you have to deliver a show. People traveling from everywhere. People deserve a show, and as long as I can walk on stage, I try to deliver. So long story short, you really, really damage your voice with those long tours and those extremely high songs without little breaks. In Avantasia, it's a bit different, Whenever you got a weaker night or something, you always have 6 or 7 other singers that can back you up and that can kind of take some moments over and can take some of the pressure off your shoulders. So I think my voice got better when I kind of slowed down with my pace. I think that's when my voice got relief. And I was surprised by myself in the studio and also doing these live shows. It was there constantly. I could do things that I think I've become a better singer than I was 20 years ago, let's put it this way. But of course, when you're 21 or 24 or 23, your voice has a different range. It's really extremely innocent and not rusty at this point. And I have a bit of a feeling that I have this innocence and this bigger range back, which I don't really know what the reason is, but I tend to believe that these are the reasons.
Yeah, and well, you're still young, but as a singer, how do you feel about, this old-time rock stars from the 70s and 80s, and all these scandals about backing tracks and backing singers and like or sucking, and like everyone just cringing when watching these performances? Is that something that like worries you, like about the future or something like that, or what is your take on that?
It doesn't really worry me. I shouldn't worry too much, and I think everybody has the right to do whatever they choose to do and whatever they feel is right to them. Nobody has the right to judge. For example, there are people who have become a little older and people who have been in the trenches for so long and for all the right reasons because they were top of the league for so long. And of course, there's the wear and tear of the road. If you listen to people like, Rob Halford or Paul Stanley, or you name them, they of course don't have the exact same voice they had 35 years ago. But I think those people deserve to make their own decisions, whether to use some technical help or I don't want to judge. I'm happy I don't have to use technical help, but at my age, they didn't need that as well. And well, they're a bit different, but I still have a lot of respect. And I can tell you, I've been to a Kiss show like 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe, I don't know. And of course you could hear it's not exactly the same it used to be 25 years ago, but I felt amazingly entertained, and they are legends, and I rather have those legends on stage than having a replacement that sounds innocent, but that is not the real deal. And that's, so I won't judge. I won't judge.
Yeah. So moving to your new album, well, the notes say that it was recorded last year, and have you had to deal with some struggle with the possible delay of the release? Because I know that the vinyl industry is overworked and labels are waiting for bands to be able to tour the actual new albums. Iron Maiden had an album 2 years in the can. How do you feel about this kind of delays?
It was weird. I mean, on one hand, it was kind of, it took a little bit of stress away from me, because I've always delivered an album only when I was happy with it and only when it was finished. That being said, towards the finish line, it always gets a bit of stressful. And I have to say it was no different this time. But when the pandemic really hit us in early 2020, I was ready to finish the album, basically. But all of a sudden, I felt there's no need to finish something now. Relax, because record company may have plans, and everybody may have plans, and bands have plans, and other bands, and the music industry. And plans get changed and abandoned every day during that year 2020. And so it was no different. All I felt was, okay, whatever I plan, it's going to be changed anyways. So don't get myself into the stress of planning anything. I just work on my record. I just built a new studio in early 2020 when the pandemic came. So I was happy having a great working environment on the highest possible level, international mastering standards in a very, very small place with great equipment. So it was cozy, most important thing. So I was sitting down and just doing my stuff and in my own studio and working on more songs and refining things, and all of a sudden discovering the joy of singing in a way, because all of a sudden I began to sing for the joy of it and not to finish something. Sometimes would sneak into the studio and just sing for 4 or 5 hours and realize, oh, I should try the choirs for this song a little bit differently. And I forgot about time, and I finished the whole song singing the choirs myself, 80 tracks over and over again. Next morning, sneaked into the studio and managed the whole thing again with the keyboards. I did a lot of keyboard on my own. I just felt there's no need to rush. The music industry is in deep trouble anyway, and they're postponing everything anyway. So didn't rush. And at some point, of course, I could have released the album earlier, but then when I finally delivered the album, the record label told me, oh, okay, there's a lot of traffic this summer. We lot of pressing plans. We'll take till the vinyls get pressed. etc., etc. Then Blind Guardian all of a sudden got in the way, and Hansi is my friend, so I said, okay, one of us has got to release their album first. He was finished with the album even before I was, so I said, okay, you're first in line. Just release your album. We wait 2 months, then we come with our album. So many reasons. I stopped arguing or worrying about it because, it gets you, it will be bad for your health to worry too much, and it won't change things anyway. In the big picture, I don't care if it's 3 months early or 3 months later. It is what it is. I just heard that the week we release Taylor Swift will come with a new album. I don't know how successful she is, but I think she's got a couple of Grammys and a couple of double platinum awards in America and 6 times platinum and whatever. So here we goes. Here it goes. The possible #1 in the charts. So, but I don't really. I stopped to worry. 2.5 years ago, we all thought the music industry may be over. We are still here. I'm still able to release my music. I try not to worry about too many things anymore.
Yeah, and well, one of the most interesting things about every Avantasia album is the new guests, in addition to the Avantasia family. And I think that the Week Ruled the Night with Ralf Scheepers is one of the best tracks in the album. And it was, for me, it was a very bold choice. We talked with the previous album that it was quite a bold choice also to release The Raven Child for 2-minute track. And now maybe the heaviest song on the album as a first single. And what was the logic behind that, or what was your idea?
It wasn't really logical. It was just that I knew everybody would expect. I know we have a reputation of having gone from power metal to pop metal or whatever. I really try not to worry too much because I just play the music I love to play. And every album has all kinds of moments, heavy moments, slower moments, epic moments. Nevertheless, I thought it would be great to tickle all those people a little bit and just give them something they don't expect. And I thought, why don't we just go with this heavy track? It was interesting to me because I wrote it without anything specifically in mind. It was not pushed in a certain direction. But after the song was finished, I realized it's a bit of my Hellfire Club writing, my Mandrake, Theater of Salvation, maybe even metal opera writing. It's a bit old school and it was not pushed in that direction. But I thought it's really funny because nobody's going to expect. And the best thing is if you remain unpredictable. I think, or not the best thing, but it's better to me to remain a bit of unpredictability, to keep that for yourself. And so I said, hey, let's this track. And Ralf Scheepers was a very obvious choice because when I was in the middle of writing the song, I realized that for some reason it came like within a blink of an eye. At some point I thought immediately, this has to be Ralf Scheepers singing the song. And I remember I contacted him that same moment I had the idea. I just finished whatever I was doing, called him or sent him a text message. We've known each other for quite a while. And I said, hey, Ralf, I have this song for Avantasia and you have to sing it. And this is not even a question. it's an order. so because it was so obviously that he had to sing that song, of course, we were joking. If he had said no, of course, I would have had to find a different solution. But I sent him the track, and the next day, 11 o'clock, I had the finished recording back. So he sang it in one night. And it's a great song. It feels like a bit of like coming home. It's something. I may not have reinvented the wheel with a song, but I never approach music like inventing or reinventing something.
Yeah, and actually, well, I'm a bit curious. Is usually that the way that you come up with the song and the singer with Avantasia when you're writing music? Is it first the idea or the singer that comes to your mind, and then you develop?
Oh, there's no rule. There's no rule really. It happens sometimes. I'm sitting for example, it was Bob Catley's birthday yesterday or the day before. I think the day before yesterday. I think it was Sunday, was Bob's birthday. So I sent Bob a birthday greeting, and just thinking of Bob, I had a song idea and I had to sit at the piano. Now, obviously, that did not end up on the Paranormal Evening with the Moonflower Society, but things like that happen. And then you have Bob on mine, and like he's in the same room and he's singing that song that I'm just writing, and you can't really describe it. Sometimes it works like that. Sometimes you write a song like Misplaced Among the Angels, for example. I wrote and I had no idea who's going to sing it. When Floor Jansen said, I would like to sing with Avantasia, I asked her and she said, oh yeah, why not? So I sent her the song Misplaced Among the Angels, and she said, it's a good song, but maybe it's not exactly my range. Do you have something else? And I said, no, but give me 3 days and I'm going to write something for you. And that was very inspiring. Usually I don't work like that either, but it was so inspiring having Floor being enthusiastic about being a part of Avantasia. So I wrote Kill the Pain Away, and that was specifically written with her in mind. I sent her the track. She liked it. And when she sent it back after she had recorded it in her studio, she also sent me Misplaced Among the Angels and said, hey, Toby, you know what? I became acquainted with the other song too. I've sung them both. So you see, those two examples, completely different approach. There's not really always a rule, or there's hardly any rules when it comes to songwriting. I try to surprise myself and let things happen, and also try to find out how else can I be inspired? What else? What is going to happen? Or as Bruce Dickinson would say, what happens if I push this button? What does this button do? And that's really an interesting approach. I try to surprise myself and try to tickle my creativity in whatever way. There's no rules.
Yeah, I also have to mention Scars with Jeff Tate, because I think, well, this is the third album when he's collaborating with Avantasia, and I think that all the tracks that he's been part of have been a highlight of the album for me. And do you feel particularly inspired when writing with him in mind, like in general?
Yeah, well, Geoff has a very, very distinctive voice. Now, everybody in Avantasia has a distinctive voice, and I cannot really say if I feel particularly inspired when I work with him. What I can say that it is very inspiring, because as you can hear some of the vocals I have done in the early zeros, let's say on the re-recording of Savage Poetry, or songs like Holy Shadows off of Ed Guy's Theater of Salvation album, or the bonus track, The Devil and the Savant off of Mandrake. When you hear the vocals of those tracks, you can hear I was hugely influenced by Jeff Tate. And now it's great to have the original, my teacher, without him knowing that he was my teacher back then. I mean, he knows now, I've told him. But it's great, and it all, of course, it's a proof. Those songs are proof that I just mentioned, are proof that I've always been a huge Jeff fan. And same goes for Michael Kiske. And Jeff Tate has also been a huge influence for Michi Kiske. So I'm a huge Jeff fan. You can see some of the things I had done on early health. They have been really by Jeff. And Jeff sometimes smiles. We do, for example, wasn't there on this tour, but on the last tour when we did Avantasia, the title track together, and you have flame. It was, or tell me now, what can keep the flame alive? That's so Jeff, that he was smiling about me having written those songs long before we knew each other. So you can tell I'm a huge Jeff fan, and he has left a huge mark on my writing and singing.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Well, he's touring a lot with his own band, playing some old Queensryche albums. I don't know if he will be able to join Avantasia next year, or. Have
I
you?
hope so. I hope so. He was. I mean, this year he didn't join us for the simple reason that he had some health issues that he had to take care of. Nothing really serious, but it had to be done, as far as I understand. And we were in touch, and we wanted to do the last 2 or 3 shows because he was back on track again. But for some reason, it was ruined in the organization, and for some reason, because it was really difficult to this summer was a huge challenge to organize, with all the flight cancellations and everything being so difficult. And for some reason, it didn't work out. That was the only reason. It was actually planned for Jeff to return to Avantasia for the last 2 or 3 shows for this summer. It didn't work out, but Jeff is still a part of the Avantasia family and a team member and a friend of ours. And of course, if we do some shows next summer, I mean, we will do a few shows in South America that are, I think one is confirmed already. I don't know anything about Europe so far, but I think there's a good chance Jeff is going to join us.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, last question about the new album is about the last track, actually, Arabesque. I think it was a very interesting track with, of course, it has Arabic influences, as the title suggests. I wanted to hear what is the inspiration behind that. Are you aware of bands like Mireth from Tunisia and that kind of like Middle Eastern Arabic metal scene?
No, not really. I just tried. I mean, I'm a huge fan of diversity in music, and I thought it was really funny because we had that song that had Eastern Arabic influences, that had very almost Baroque influences, like very classic Karl Orff kind of influences. It has this Queen approach. It has a Dio approach in the middle. There's so many different things going on, and Sasha said, "Oh, it's really weird to put all these different styles together. There's no red line." And I said, "Oh yeah, there is. It's like a magic carpet ride through different eras and cultures, like a journey, like an arabesque, many individual threads being woven together to one beautiful ornament." And that's what life is all about. You know, you have to face so many different challenges, and you have expectations here and expectations there, and you have your own dreams, and you have your responsibility towards the people that you love, and you need to bring many individual threads together and make it one functional, beautiful ornament, which is your life. And I try to express that. It's a very, very, to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I think the different musical styles incorporated in that song reflect the lyrics of the song, which is talking about, as I said, those different expectations from outside and duties and your own imagination and your own dreams, and trying to bring it all together, and also the struggle of bringing it all together. But you have no choice. You're condemned to make the most out of your life that you can. And it was for me a very personal track, because even though it's got this escapist feel and it's got this imaginative approach, it says a lot about myself. This song was, along with Scars, a lot of self-therapy. I think it's a very beautiful track, and it was very, very important for me to write. It was very, very, I mean, I don't know if people will love it or like it or not like it or hate it or whatever. But for me, that song has a very, very, very important, an important part of my therapy. And writing music is self-therapy in a way.
Yeah, that's very cool to hear, because I think you can see how involved you were in the craft of it. And I'm sure you're always been told who to invite, who to listen to. But I think Mireth, like, if you don't know them, maybe you should check out how similar the feeling is. And their singer is amazing, Sahar Sorgati. Just if you're running out of ideas, then you can give me some credit if you don't know him.
Okay, what is the band called? Mireth.
Mireth. Myrath, Myrath. They're from Tunisia. They're great.
Okay. Myrath. Myrath. I've heard the
Myrath.
name. I've heard the name.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if I can give a suggestion, but well, of course, it's you will let me know maybe if you think it's any good. But and another thing that I wanted to ask you, as a fan, I sometimes would describe you as kind of Tarantino of metal or power metal. That you've helped to relaunch a lot of singers' careers for a new generation. I know there's a lot of young people listening to Avantasia who probably don't know who Magnum is, or bands like that, and they are familiar to them now thanks to Avantasia, and you're also like picking up elements from other bands and making them your own, like kind of making songs that sound even more like the if the original singer would have written them themselves. So what do you think about this kind of like chameleon type of persona that people perceive you as?
I'm not really sure if I'm a chameleon. I'm I try not to analyze too much what I'm doing. And I just do things. A lot of what I do is really, really just based on intuition. And the musicians I work with, I never duty to teach kids something or show them a band. I think that's a very, very nice side effect. But I think, and that's also the key for, I think, why people, or I want to believe why people like Avantasia, is that it's all based on honesty. There's nothing artificial about it. There's nothing pretentious about it, even though it's epic, and we work with orchestra sometimes and some with big choirs, and of course it's very, very ambitious musically, but it is nothing that it doesn't want to be something it is not. And I just think the key to it all is that I work with the people that I love. Magnum have given me so much. They've given me so much as a band. They are in my DNA as a songwriter. Same goes for Halloween, Keeper of the Seven Keys era. I mean, Waiki, Kai, Mike, Michi Kiske, Markus Großkopf, they are in my DNA, even though I never played in the band. I'm happy I contributed maybe a little bit to the reunion in a way, but I never played in the band, but they are a huge inspiration to me, and that's why it's gone over into my songwriting and my DNA. And I think, of course, it is great if bands like Magnum or whoever else get some younger fans that they maybe would not have gotten. But I think the key is that the quality of what we do is great, and I think it's great because it's very heartfelt, and it's something honest. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's really hard to describe. So I don't think my role of being a chameleon and trying to do different things, and that's not the case. I don't try to be anything.
You're not like pushing to do that. Well, Toby, thank you so much for your time. I know there's a next journalist waiting. I don't want to steal their time. Just thank you a lot for your time, and well, looking forward. Hopefully you will the next tour will make it to Finland, and a full headlining show, not a shorter set. And I don't know if you want to leave any greetings to the people from Chaoszine and the Finnish audience.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you. I mean, I want to thank everybody in Finland. Finland's been my second home for so long. Helsinki, when we did the productions there, for the early Edgar records and the early Avantasia records, and it's a great place, and it's always having a special place in my heart. And it was great to come back to Helsinki. It was really funny, I have to say. On this last tour, our tour manager was Jeff Michael, former drummer of Stradivarius. He was the tour manager for Avantasia on the last summer shows. And it was great to go to Helsinki with him because we both had such great memories. He even more than I. So in brief words, I have a lot of friends in Finland, and I hope to come back rather sooner than later. Thank you for your support. Kiitos.
Take care, Toby. Thank you so much. And congrats on the album.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.